KARE 11 investigates a housing program that's supposed to be a lifeline for those rebuilding their lives. But what our team uncovered is allegations of fraud, forged signatures, and tax dollars exploited. Here's AJ Legault with Housing Hustle, a new Recovery Inc. investigation.
Here we go.
You're on a stakeout with KARE 11 Investigates at an out-of-the-way office building in Brooklyn Park. The man getting behind the wheel and blacked-out windows of that luxury ride runs a company called Leo Human Services. This is one of their advertisements. They're paid millions in tax dollars to help find and maintain housing for people with disabilities like substance use disorder.
I've never got an hour of help.
Stephen Smith is in addiction recovery. He says he found his own housing, but recently discovered Leo Human Services claimed to help him.
Yeah. Crazy.
That help billed to Medicaid for thousands of dollars.
We have a bill for $755 and then $531 again at the very bottom for another bill for $755.
Stephen remembers getting a few phone calls, but that's it.
I never met with them. I've never even seen them.
The Minnesota Department of Human Services oversees the Housing Stabilization Services, or HSS program. Their rules clearly state HSS services are medical Medicaid services, and some of them must be provided in person.
Who are you? You never helped me.
Stephen is not the only one to tell us they never met anyone from Leo Human Services.
Hundreds and thousands of dollars. I have no idea who this person is. None.
Due to safety concerns, Rachel Lean, Stephen's girlfriend, asked we not show her face.
I had never heard of this company. I never met with them. I never talked with them on the phone. I had no idea who they were. I'd never even heard of them before.
KARE 11 previously documented how Rachel signed up with another company called Brilliant Minds Services. They billed Medicaid for housing assistance she can prove
Hundreds and thousands of dollars.
did not happen. Her records reveal Leo Human also billed her Medicaid for $14,000 in just 8 months.
I was literally flabbergasted. Who is Leo Human Services? Who are they?
They are a for-profit company run by this man, Assad Adow, out of the Brooklyn Park office and this Blaine home where he still lives with his parents. State data shows Leo Human Services is one of the state's top 10 HSS billers, last year charging taxpayers $1.2 million.
Hey, Mr. Adow? AJ Legault from KARE 11. I need to ask you some questions because we're hearing about clients that are saying you're fraudulently billing Medicaid in their name.
Yes, sir.
He did not want to answer questions.
I'm tired. I just got out of work. This is not a cool time, man. This is not a cool time.
Well, we've emailed you and haven't heard back.
We have so much work to do. I mean, I'm being asked questions here.
Well, people say you're not doing work, that you're billing thousands of dollars for work that's not being done.
Come on, man. Let's take the proper channels, man. I'm doing everything I am correctly, and we can take the proper channels.
Well, you've got my contact information.
Since its launch in July 2020, HSS billing exploded. State data shows by the end of 2024, it had reached a total cost of $248 million. And DHS has been warned. It's a program ripe for fraud. The housing advocacy organization Hearth Connection issued a report to DHS last August following a statewide survey that warned reports of predatory activity to enroll individuals without their knowledge are increasing.
So that's something that needs attention.
However, at a January Senate hearing, then DHS Commissioner Jody Harpsted acknowledged yet downplayed concerns.
Because there's a lot of rumors of fraud more than there is actual fraud.
Stephen says what happened to him is no rumor.
Bad, bro.
At KARE 11's request, he asked Leo Human Services for his client records. They emailed him this housing consultation, which says he legally signed it.
I did not sign this legal document.
Stephen points to the odd way his name is listed.
I've never signed my signature junior. Why would I say that I'm Stephen Junior Smith? Well, my middle name is actually Stephen Dwayne Smith.
Documents like this often leave a digital trail. KARE 11 extracted the metadata and found a bombshell.
Wow. Wow.
Stephen's signature.
Oh, man.
Which he allegedly signed on 8/28/23, was in fact authored the next day, 8/29, by someone named Watts Haneen.
Who's Watts Haneen?
I don't know who Watani is.
We have documentation that shows you provided this record and it's allowing your company to bill for somebody and their name, they didn't sign it. It looks like it was forged, sir.
Nothing was forged, man.
No answers, and today, no accountability for housing help clients say they did not get.
There needs to be housing stabilization, but there needs to be, accountability.
Full transparency, we don't know who Watsonine is. We just know their digital fingerprints are on this record as the author of Stephen's signature, and this record allowed Leo Human Services to bill his Medicaid for housing services he says he did not get.
Well, you mentioned the top 10 services for housing stabilization. Do you plan to go through each and every one? Because as taxpayers, I think we would appreciate if you did.
We are taking a look at a number of companies outside of the two that we have already reported on, and we're finding there's a lot of connections between these companies, same addresses.
And when you hear the former head of the DHS saying there's more rumor than there is actually fraud, what's your response to that?
I'd say you can just follow our reporting. We're finding tens upon tens of millions of dollars in Medicaid fraud right now.
And are you encouraged at all by what the government is doing? They seem to be interested, I know, in your reporting and starting these fraud departments.
They are certainly do seem to be taking this seriously. You know, there's fraud's getting a lot of attention up at the legislature right now, and they're trying to build out a more robust system to catch this, to use artificial intelligence maybe to help spot anomalies that we're finding by going through records.
And I know you're highlighting cases that were very egregious, but it just does seem like, is there any oversight?
It is the million-dollar question. I know they're pushing at the legislature to create a statewide inspector general whose job it would be to look at this on a high level. And we've all heard what our former U.S. Attorney Andy Lugar said about there being a problem with fraud here in Minnesota. And I do know that a number of official investigations are being launched into what we've been exposing. I heard from DHS just today, and they told me they have open investigations now into Leo Human Services and Brilliant Minds.
Excellent reporting once again. Thanks so much, AJ.
Thank you, Julie.